how to work from home effectively. Now, my name is Ted Thomas, and working from home is a big time saver. With a little practice, you can be very effective and accomplish more than the average person who is working from a business office. So let's talk about that and see if you can work effectively from your home office. We're going to discuss how to do this effectively, but realistically, you're still going to have to work. Now, it's not perfect to work from home. However, you'll have a lot less expenses and a lot more time to be with your family. So let's go into that just a little bit. To be effective, you need to plan and you need to discipline yourself, first of all, because your family is going to also need discipline. In other words, you can't have kids running around and screaming while you're trying to do your work. They can't have loud television sets going right in the next room, and you can't have friendly neighbors walking in and out. That can't be tolerated. You're going to have to discipline you and your family. To be effective takes a lot of planning and it takes a lot of discipline. That's the most difficult part of being in business. Now, your family needs to go through a step-by-step process to understand that what you're doing is how you're going to bring home the beans. In other words, you're going to make your money because you're being effective working from home. Now, success usually comes because you already have a specialty. By that I mean you already have a craft, or maybe you're already a professional. All right, you're kind of getting the idea. Well, you want to be able to showcase those skills, but you need to do it in a sanctuary. You need to do it in a private environment. So successful home businesses, they always determine the failure or the success of the business if they can engage with clients. Now, if you can't engage with the client and the customer, how are you going to make your money? So this is going to take focus, it's going to take concentration, and it's going to take discipline. All right, discipline doesn't automatically come from home. All right, so working from home means you have to have a quiet place. I like to call it a sanctuary, a place where you're not going to have interruptions, a place where you can concentrate, a quiet environment. So working from home effectively is going to require those things: discipline, quiet, concentration. It's going to be a change, and it's going to be a bigger change for the family than it is going to be for you. You can't expect to showcase yourself very well if you got holiday visitors around your office, present yourself very well if the kids are playing basketball in the next room. None of those things are going to work out too well. So you need to have thought this out, and you need to get everybody to agree. All right, so I'm discussing how to work from home. Now, I repeat myself again and again because the discipline is the most difficult part. It also is going to take discipline to stay out of the kitchen and stay out of the refrigerator. All right, so working at home means you're going to have to concentrate on working certain times, taking breaks, working certain time. You're going to have some kind of schedule. All right, that's going to take privacy. That's going to take, you're the one that's going to control all that. All right, now the office, I like to use the word sanctuary. I just mean a quiet place to work where other people aren't going to bother you. Now, the home worker needs to be persistent. You have to do whatever you're doing assertively again and again. All right, that means you will have to be assertive with your family. If you're not, you'll pay a big price later because you're not going to generate the money that you want from a home office if you have a lot of interruptions and they continue. All right, now the home worker must think about skills. What is your skill and what are you going to do? Are you going to provide a product or is it going to be a service? And how is that service going to help other people? In other words, step number one is you always have to help other people. Step number two, how can you do that profitably? All right, if people won't buy your problem-solving product, well, then you don't have a business. So all of the responsibility is now on your shoulders, not only to have a quiet place to work, but the responsibility to make the money is definitely on your shoulders. All right, so if you're looking at business ideas, are they ideas at this point, or are you ready to go out and start testing using relatives and friends or whatever? If somebody else is already in the same business, well, that could be a blessing if somebody is already in the business that you want to be in. Because now you know that if they're surviving in the business, that means there is a business there. So that's number one. But number two, can you make your product better than theirs? Can you do it cheaper? Can you do it faster? Can you do it easier? What can you do that's going to make your product better? You're going to have to be better or nothing is going to happen. So think about that. All right, the question is, can you build your product better? Can you compare your service and have it better? The customer is always going to do comparisons. What does that mean? The customer is going to compare the benefits. Are there more benefits to working with you than working with someone else? Okay, so in this episode, I'm discussing how to work from home effectively. Working from home requires you focus. All right, that takes willpower and plenty of discipline. That's not going to go away. You'd love to not have all that discipline, but it's going to take place. All right, so it's more than a quiet room. It's more than a comfortable chair. It's usually a whole attitude around that business. All right, small business usually means you're solving problems for someone else. Have you tested this product? Is it proven? You don't want to sell a product that you haven't proven and tested. All right, now I made a discovery 30 years ago, and when I launched my business, it was tax liens and tax deeds. Now that's just a small subset of the real estate business, but it's unique, and I differentiated myself by saying I'm only going to buy properties at tax defaulted auctions for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar, and then I'm going to sell them under the market. So if I buy for 30 cents on the dollar, I'm probably going to be willing to sell for 60 cents on the dollar. Why would I do that? Because I want to be under the market, and then I'm going to use media to help me sell it. All right, does that make for an efficient business? Yes, it's much more effective than trying to compete. For example, if I'm trying to sell at retail, then I've got to compete with all those people. So I want to be in the market where I can sell and not spend a lot of time doing so. And guess what? I want to make a profit and move on quickly. All right, I can do all of that from a small office because I can research from my home office, and I can do most of that online, whereas years ago, I had to travel to all those different sites. I don't have to do that anymore, so it's much more effective. So by using the internet and Wi-Fi and satellites and the rest of it, so I had to learn a new business. All right, we buy properties that are thousands of miles away. That doesn't mean we don't look at them. We don't buy any property unless we've had boots on the ground. All right, and the whole process was very difficult years ago, but no more. All right, this is still a hidden market. Very few people know about it, but once you know about it, it's nationwide. All 3,000 counties are confiscating and then selling property to the marketplace. They're selling for 10 cents, 20 cents, and 30 cents on the dollar. All right, so where do I get my customers from? Well, I advertise for my customers and I use media. All right, I can always solve the customer's problem. The media will let me announce the property, will let me promote the property, and if I'm 20, 30, 40% under the market, I've solved a problem. What problem have I solved? Everybody wants a bargain. So thousands of customers are out there, and guess what they want? They want a bargain. So what I do is I buy at bargain prices, and then I resell at bargain price. I'm solving a customer problem. All right, so what's this episode all about today? How to work effectively from home. Well, first of all, you have to have a quiet place to work. Secondly, you're going to have to be disciplined. Thirdly, your family's going to have to be under control. You're getting the idea. All right, all of the results from this business will come from you, and you're working from your own office. So you don't have time to sit around. You want to be as effective as possible. All right, so that's going to be a quiet place to work so you can engage with the world. So you can engage online, offline. You can engage speaking with people. You want to have the freedom to run your own life, and you can do that from a home office. All right, now my name is Ted Thomas, and right below me, there's a free gift for you. But before I leave you, I wanted to say this. If you're going to buy properties and you're going to go to auctions, you must have boots on the ground and have seen that property before you buy it. Don't buy from a picture. Don't buy online. Don't buy from a video. Make sure you have boots on the ground. I don't know if there was a hurricane the day before. I don't know if there was a fire. And who knows? What if the property's next to a chicken farm? You're not going to be able to sell that in August. I can tell you that because it's going to be pretty smelly around there. Again, I'm Ted Thomas. There's a free gift right below me.